So I've always been interested in grasping the idea of happiness, and throughout my life I tried to understand what makes a person happy. And I understood bits and pieces of it because of life situations that I've gone through. So I understood that being able to spend quality time with the people you love is one of the important things for happiness. Being able to be authentically yourself is another one. And I also understood that happiness is not being smiling and feeling good all the time, that it's a global image, that it's a big picture. So if you see, all my paintings represent people with, generally women, that have lived something very strong, something almost melancholic or sad. But if you step back and you look at the general picture, it's represented with these vivid colors, bright colors, but it also, the postures of the women are very strong and courageous, brave. And this is, for me, goes back to the representations of this idea of happiness, that it's not about how you feel in the moment. You can still have hope through hardships, and you can still be happy in the big picture. So for me, that was that was what gathers all the figures, all the paintings that I have prepared for this solo show. My process is very interesting in the sense that I am an emotional artist. So for me, it's not something, I always like to laugh and say I don't have skills when I paint. I have moments of emotion. So I paint when I am deeply connected to how I feel. When I understand how I feel, then I am at my highest when it comes to inspiration. And it's not that I prepare before getting in front of a canvas. I prepare what I'm gonna do and the colors and the study, and then I have an idea where I wanna go. It's not like that at all. And I think that process would close to me a lot of creativity, because I would be framed on once I'm creating my artwork. I'm a very free, I leave myself very free once I'm creating. I just need this connection to my authenticity, and then things happen naturally to me. So I like to grasp that emotion, that feeling that I am having in the moment, that connection with myself, and just interpret it in an artwork that I'm still don't have no idea how it's gonna end. Not the colors that I will choose, not the direction, but the feeling. And for me, the feeling is the most important. And when I manage to have people looking at my piece and feeling intensely what I wanted to communicate, that's for me when I have done a good job. And that process is for me similar whether it's a solo show or whether it's a collective exhibition, because I always paint from the inside. How do I start? As you know, I have started my career as a civil engineer working in construction sites. I have then worked in luxury real estate in Paris, and I had my career all planned. But since very little, art was always my go-to for self-expression. And I had this project that after some time I will probably, when I retire or something, try to make something of that tool that I had. And life taught me that, and I will explain what was the event, but life with that event taught me that if you have a project that is dear to your life, the only and the right moment to do it is now, because you might not have a chance to have it tomorrow. Now let me explain to you what that event was. I was on a trip going back to see my family. At that time I was living abroad, and I was going to see my family. I spoke with my father on a Tuesday, and he was supposed to pick me up from the airport on a Saturday. We had plans, and he died when I was in transit to go see him. For me, that was like an eye-opener that made me realize that sometimes you don't have a chance to realize the projects you're planning for. And if there is anything that you would like to do, the right moment to do it is now. This is when my whole perception of life and my whole approach to my own life changed, and where I think I started becoming more authentic to who I am and to how I picture my life. And for me, that was the day I took the step to completely change my life and take it from a more authentic side. So, as I mentioned, I'm a very emotional artist. I need to connect to how I feel to be able to produce. Well, before painting, what I do is that I start journaling. I go to my art studio, I sit, I take a coffee, and I start writing down how I feel. And that helps me a lot in the moment where I go to paint, because I create that link between how I feel and try to get it out in the canvas. I love music, but I think this is not like an exceptional thing. A lot of artists paint with music, so music is an important element in my creative process. And I'm generally just also very, I always like to say, serious and light-hearted are not antinomic. So although I'm a serious artist, I like to be bubbly and joyful, and I think that also nurtures a lot my art and the color I pick up from my art and all this happy universe that I create around me. I'm a believer that the artworks represents the inner world of an artist, and moreover when it's an expressionist artist. So for me, anything that nurtures my inner universe automatically finds itself as an output in my art. Having had the chance to travel around the world, to live in different cultures, had allowed me to become who I am today, in the sense that it allowed me to understand that first of all, there is not one single reality, that reality is very related to where we are born. And that, once you realize that, you give yourself the chance to pick and choose your own reality from the different cultures that you've been in contact with. And it just gives you, an open-mindedness, first of all, and it enriches your world in general. So that's one thing I'm really grateful for as I like to say, a troubadour. When I paint, I feel like it's kind of my coded diary, because it says my private story, but it keeps it coded for the eyes of the public. So I say my private story in a coded way. And the titles for me are some things that speak to my private story. Hopefully the viewer can still understand the story, or even if they don't understand the story, just feel the emotion communicated by the story. And the titles are kind of related to that private story. It's true that in my artworks, it's female figure, dominantly female figure. I think for once, as we said, that because the artist has the art as his own diary somehow, even if it's not directly related to representing him physically, but it has always something of the artist. In that sense, for me, it was natural that women were the protagonists of my art. And while I paint women, I like to represent them with strong personality, with daring posture, very deep sights, very deep gaze. So it represents the strength through hardship, let's say. And as I said before, this image of the bigger picture that is happy. I think that mostly in the world we live in, with the current challenges, we all can get affected psychologically by the impact of the events that the society goes through. So in that sense, as an emotional artist, my art is going to be for sure impacted, depending on what is the condition and the situation we are living. In sad times, for sure that's going to have an impact. In better times, it's going to have an impact. Hopefully the news gets better. In the second angle of the question, and to ask how the new technologies like AI would impact the art world, I think that there are two ways to see that. There are always challenges, but there are always opportunities that come with new technologies. And in that sense, I think there will be a lot of opportunities to take from this new technology. How? We will see. Somebody said once that if your dreams don't scare you, that you're not dreaming big enough. My ambition is to put my word out there to the whole world to see it. My ambition is to be among the most recognized artists of my time and to leave a print in the art world. I know it can seem a bit arrogant, but I also believe that when you visualize your dream, they end up happening. Actually, I think the biggest gift to an artist is this interaction with the viewers about their arts, because the art takes more meaning. The artists need to create, whether the viewer is there or not. It's like an internal lead. But when you get this interaction with the viewer and you get the feedback, it's just amazing to see how others perceive what you do. I have one anecdote that I would like to share with you. I once got a couple buying two artworks from me, and I would never forget why they bought it. So this couple have 3 children. The eldest is 13 years old, and they are actually collecting artworks from different artists around the world as a heritage for their kids, something that they would transmit through generations and to keep in the family. So for me, when I handed over the artworks and I met with the little girl, which is the one that my artworks are for, and I saw her eyes and how she felt seeing my artworks and her emotion, I will never forget that moment. That's for me something that will stay together with me for the rest of my life. So I think because of the colors I use and because of the brush strokes that I have, I would say I'm closer to the Impressionist movement with kind of a pop approach from the colors, together with being an expressionist. So it's kind of a melting pot of these 3 elements, where I go to classical subjects and redo them with my own colors, my own touch, my own interpretation. If people can go away only with one thing, I would want them to keep in mind this. Never to give up during hardships, and just to not be afraid to be authentically who they are. There is only one of us, and it's worth going through life being who you really are. And it's much more enjoyable going through life being who you really are. If they can take only one thing, that's what I would like them to take. That only the future will tell, depending on what the future brings to me. You'll see. Follow me and you will see. Ciao. See you there. Hope to see you.